Hello friends, welcome to our channel. This is our app that we had made so far. It's a category screen. If we click on the category, then we have test screen. Then we have start test screen. Then we have this question screen. So in this video, we will complete our question screen. Okay, so let's start. So here what we want is we want to display question and the options, and if we swipe right we want to go to the next question, and swipe left then go to the previous question. Also from this button we want to go back and forth to the question next questions. Okay, so this what we want. So for this we want a recycler view with different questions. Okay, so go to the questions activity.xml file. This is our XML file. Here we have this first linear layout for the top bar, then we have this second linear layout for this middle bar, then after this is for our last bar, bottom bar. So here after this we will create a recycler view. Okay, so create a recycler view with height 0 dp, that is match constraint. Okay, and then we need to set its constraint also. So for the constraints we want this layout to the top of this bottom layout. Okay, so this bottom layout is this one. So what is the ID of this layout? We don't have an ID for this layout, so give it an ID. Here give this layout an ID. Let's say it's a linear layout for 3. Okay, linear layout 3, and then minimize this linear layout, and then here we will constrain this layout below of this layout, top of this layout, sorry, not below, top of this bottom layout. So here constraint bottom to top of constraint bottom to top of linear layout 3. Okay, so we have constrained this from the bottom, then from left and right also. Left is constraint start of parent. Okay, and then similarly constraint end of parent. So we have constrained this from left and right also. Now we need to constrain this from the bottom, from the top. Left is now we need to constrain it from the top. So we want the top to the bottom of this middle layout. So this middle layout is this one. Here we don't have an ID for this layout, so give it an ID. Linear layout, let's say 4. Okay, you can give any ID that you want. Then here constraint top to bottom of ID linear layout 4. Okay, so this is the from top it will be at the bottom of this linear layout 4. So as you can see we have this list showing here. Okay, so this is our layout which is constrained from all the sides. Okay, now we want some margin also. We don't want it to the extreme left and right also from top, so we will give it some margin. So margin start, at the start we will give it 16 dp, or we will give 16 dp from all the side. So margin equal to 16 dp. Okay, so it will have a margin from all the sides 16 dp. Okay, so now give it an id also, that is it's a recycler view with the, so it's a question view, so give it an id questions view. Okay, so this is our linear layout. Also give IDs to all the other elements that we want to access in the Java file. So give the IDs to one by one. So first, this is our time, this is our question number. Okay, so it's the first text view, give it an ID, and the ID is let's say question ID. Or text view underscore question ID, question ID. Then next we have this one is our timer, so also give this an ID, let's say TV text view underscore timer. Okay, then we have this submit button, so let's give it an ID submit button. Then we have this next text view, that is our category, so give it an ID category, or let's say category name questions activity underscore category name. Okay, and then we have this this is for bookmark, so give it an ID, and that is questions activity bookmark button. Okay, then this is for the questions list menu, so give it an ID and name it questions list grid button. It will open the grid view which contains all the question numbers. Okay, so then we have given an ID to this recycler view, then give an ID to this back button, previous question button, so ID previous question button. Then this button is for clear selection, so give it an ID also clear selection button. Then the next button is for mark for review, so give it an ID name it mark button. Then we have this next question button, ID next question button. Okay, so we have given IDs to all the elements of this layout. Now come to the Java file, that is questions activity.java. Okay, now we will access these elements one by one and give them values. Okay, So here create variables, private recycler view, name it questions view, then private int question id, sorry, not int, private text view, and text view is tv question id, text view question id. Then other text views, one is for the timer, so here comma, sorry, comma, one text view is for timer, so timer text view. Then we have category name text view, category name text view. Then we have then we have a button, submit button, submit button. And then what all other things, we have two more buttons, that is mark button and clear selection button. And what else, we have two image buttons, private image buttons, image button, that is previous question button, next question button. Okay, and then an image view, private image view, image view for questions list, questions list button. Okay, and also, okay, so these are the variables. I guess that's fine. Now we'll initialize these variables one by one. So here we will create a function, that is init or initialize. Okay, it is already in a class, so name it init. And then after this private void init, and here we will initialize these variables one by one. Okay, first is a recycler view, sorry, questions view, find view by id, r.id.questions view. Then we have a tv questions id, find view by id, r.id.questions tv questions id, question id. Then timer tv, find view by id, r.id.timer tv timer. Then category tv, find view by id, r.id.category questions activity category name. Then we have submit button, find view by id, r.id.submit button. Then we have mark button. Find view by id r.id mark button. Questions activity, sorry, not mark button. Then clear selection button. Find view by id r.id clear selection button. Then we have two other buttons, previous question button. Find view by id r.id previous question button. Next question button. Find view by id r.id next question button. Then we have last is our questions list, question list button. So find view by id r.id questions list grid button. Okay, so now we have initialized these variables. Now after initializing all the views, we will create an adapter to render questions. So create a questions adapter class. So right click here, new Java class, name it questions adapter. Okay, so this is our questions adapter class. So extend this class, extends with a recycler view dot adapter, and its type, let's say questions adapter dot view holder. Okay, we will create this class. So click on this and press alt enter and create class view holder. So it will create a class. Then again click here and press alt enter and click on implement methods and click OK. Then again click here and press alt enter and click on this make view holder, extend this view holder class. Okay, now we don't have any error. So now come down here, we have one more error here. So click on this and press alt enter and click on this create constructor matching super. Okay, so now it's fine. Now create a private variable here, private list of type questions model class and name it questions list. Questions list, and then create a constructor for this questions list. So press alt insert and click on the constructor, click OK. So now here we have our constructor. Then come down to this on create view holder class, sorry, view holder function on create view holder. Here create a view is equal to layout inflator dot from view group dot get context dot inflate Then here we need a layout file. So create a questions item layout file. So go to the resources, layout, and here right click on this layout file, new layout resource file, and then name it question item layout. Click OK. So this is our layout file. We have a linear layout here, height match parent, orientation is vertical. Okay, so it's seems fine. Now we want here one text view for the question and 4 buttons for the options. Okay, so create a text view first. Text view width, let's say match parent, and height wrap content. Give it some margin, layout margin 8 dp, then some padding also, padding 8 dp, then gravity center, then text color black, and then text size let's say 18 sp. Give it some text also, text let's say question number 1. Okay, so size, then give it text style, that is bold. Then we want to give it some scroll bar also to scroll if the question length is too large, then we need to add some scroll bar to it also. So scroll bars vertical, we want vertical scroll bar. Then give it a background color white, and then input type, give it multi-line text view. Okay, and then give it some elevation, that is 5 dp, and also for the elevation effect give translation 3 dp. Okay, so this is our questions view. Actually we want this text view to capture all the space available after rendering the buttons. Whatever space is remaining after rendering the options, we need to take that space for this question text view. Okay, so we will give it a weight, layout weight 1, so that it will take all the remaining space. Okay, now it's fine. Now create button. We need 4 buttons, so let's first create a single button. It's width match parent, height wrap content, then margin 8 dp, then text color black, then text, let's say option A. Then text size, let's say 16 sp. Then we want to give it some background. Okay, for background we need to create a drawable. Okay, so create a drawable file, go to the resources, in drawable, right click, new drawable resource file, and name it unselected button, unselected button btn. Okay, so here in this, instead of selector, we need a shape layout, and in this shape we want corner radius, let's say 300 dp, and then we want some solid color to it. So color, let's say white, Android white. Okay, so this seems fine. This is our unselected button. Now similarly we want a selected button background. So this is our unselected button, which is the background of the options that is not selected. Now we want the background of the selected button, selected option. So click on the drawable, right click here, and new drawable resource file, and name it selected button, selected underscore btn. Change this selector to shape. We want a shape. Then we want its solid color, let's say okay, not solid, give it a stroke color, say color primary. Then width, let's say 4 dp. Okay, so this is the boundary of the button. Then in the boundary we will fill the middle with a light color. So solid color, light, we want a color that is light blue. So give it color code A7 CIFA. Okay, and that is, I guess, is A7, sorry, hash A7 CIFC1FA. okay, so this is the light blue color. Then after this we want to give some corner radius to it. So corners radius, let's say 150 dp, 150 sp. Okay, and then this, so this is, I guess, our selected button. Okay, so close this. This is our selected button, this is our unselected button. Now come back to the questions item layout. Then here in button we need a background. and in this background we will give drawable unselected button. Okay, then we will give it some elevation, let's say 3dp. For the elevation effect we'll give translation z 3dp, and also a state list animator null @null, that is for elevation and click effect. Okay, so I guess that is for the single button. Now we will give it an id, sorry, not input type, id, and id let's say option a. Similarly we will create other 3 options. So copy this button, paste 3 times, 1 2 3. Okay, so these are the 4 buttons. So this is option D, id is also option D, this is option C, id is also option C, then we have option B, okay, then this is our option A. So this is our question item layout. Now come back to the questions adapter class .java. Here in inflate, here we will give r.layout. The layout that we have created, that is questions item layout, then comma view group comma false. Okay, and then semicolon. So this is the view that we want to return. So return view, sorry, not view, we will return new view holder, and then we will pass the view in this. Okay, then on bind view holder, here we will set our data, and then in get item count we will return questions list dot size. Okay, then in this view holder, here we will access the variables in our questions item layout. So here in this, here we will create private variables, private text view. First is a question, then 4 buttons, private button. Buttons are option A, B, option C, and option D. Then we will then assign values to these variables. So question is equal to item view dot find view by id, r dot id dot questions. What is the id of the question? Go to the questions item layout. Here this is our question text view, give it an id, let's say text view question, sorry, id text view question. Then come back to the adapter class. Here r dot id dot text view question, then option A is equal to item view dot find view by id, r.id dot option a. Similarly option b, c, d, copy paste. B, C, D, B, C, B. Okay, then this is the constructor. Then after this constructor we will create a private method, private void set data. Then here we will assign values to these variables. So question dot set text, question list dot get position. Let's give it a position, final int pose. So question list dot get position dot get question. Similarly option A dot set text, question list dot get position dot get option A. Similarly for option B, C and D. Okay, now call this set data from on bind view holder here. On bind view holder dot set data, position is I. Okay, so this way we'll call this set data function and it will initialize all the variables. So this is our questions adapter class. Now come back to the questions class, questions activity.java. Here we have this, let's create a questions adapter class, question adapter variable, question adapter question adapter is equal to new question adapter, and in this we want a question list. So g underscore question, db query dot g underscore question list. Then we will assign this adapter to our questions view, that is our recycler view dot set adapter question adapter. Okay, so we have this adapter set to our questions view. Then I guess now it will display our questions. So let's test it. So this is our app. Click on the GK category. Now on the test number 1, here we have 2 questions in this. Click on start. Okay, we don't have our recycler view. We should get our recycler view here. So there is some problem in this. Let's see.